First, let's clarify the difference between a product-based company and a services-based company. So the product companies like Google, Microsoft, or Salesforce, or in fact any startups with their proprietary apps, right? So these companies, what they do is they build their own software or hardware and they will sell it to the end consumers or the end users. And on the other side, the services company, right? So these companies are like the consulting firms or the agencies, and these companies, they provide the solutions to the clients. So when we say clients here, it sounds like a fancy word, but basically those clients are the product companies. Because when we talk about the product companies, most of the companies, they maintain their in-house development team, testing team, DevOps team, product team, and so on. But sometimes what happens is these product companies, they outsource their development or they outsource their testing effort to the services companies, to the consulting companies. So that's how these services company, they end up providing the solutions to the clients or to the other product-based companies. So I spent almost 8 years working in services company and more than 10 years working in the product-based company. So I believe I have enough experience, to talk about this topic. All right, so let's start talking about the pros and cons from the product and services based perspective. So if you start with the product, you'll be having a deep product knowledge as a QA, because you will be learning the current product functionality and you will have a great insights about what are the upcoming features and how the product is going to evolve down the line, like 6 months or next 1 year, based on your PA plannings. So you will have that vision about the product and its quality. And as a QA, since you will be spending a lot of time in understanding the current product, you will also be aware of what are the existing issues, existing bugs in the product, and what are the customer reported issues. So based on this amount of experience and the knowledge on that single product, you will be in a position to anticipate the potential issues that may come up, whenever they are enhancing any feature or whenever they are tweaking something in the product. So that's one of the very key interesting work experience when you are part of a product teams or a product based companies. And of course, it's very natural, you feel that you are like an owner of the quality. But again, in my opinion, quality is not a single person's responsibility. Quality is the entire team's responsibility. So not a single SDET or not a single developer is not responsible for the product quality, the whole team. But however, since you have that great insights about the product, people will look at you, people will follow you, because they will look at you as a coach from a quality standpoint. And the stable environments, I know you will be having a multiple different environments for testing, but that is not what I'm talking about here. Generally, the product companies, they focus on the long-term product success, especially from the quality standpoint, right? So which provides your job, stable, and the chance to see how your testing is actually impacting the entire software lifecycle over time. So that way, how it works is, let's say the CI/CD, right? So the product cycle, the product SDLC might not have a proper CI/CD, might not have the quality gates. So you as a QA will have that enough time to process through, to analyze the current gaps, and to start implementing very iteratively, to start improving the process, from a quality standpoint, from a continuous testing standpoint. So you have that subtle kind of environment, when it comes to the product-based companies, because the product is not going anywhere and you will be not going anywhere. So you will be planning well and executing those steps, very confidently. And then focus on innovation and R&D testing. So since a product-based company, the product is the bread and butter for the company, so the product team will always think about the innovative features and innovative functionalities. How can we improve on certain things on the product, right? So how can we incorporate the customer feedback in the product? So they always keep on thinking about something better should be there, something new should be there, that should be helpful for the customers, right? As that innovation is going on from the product side, you as a QA from your side, you will be having that luxury and flexibility to to think about more innovative ways for testing the product to improve the product's quality. Like, you are not limited to perform only the functions testing on the product. You have an opportunity to get into non-functional testings, visual testing, like a lot of opportunities, lot of innovation you can implement, right? And then the better work-life balance. Of course, everyone wants this, everyone will be looking for this. Since most of these projects in the product-based companies for the long term, so they plan over multiple releases, the workloads are usually more predictable, so making it easier to maintain a healthy work-life balances. Higher salaries, bonuses, and stock options. This is absolutely true. Generally, the product companies, they tend to offer higher salaries and more freedom in choosing the tools and strategies. You get the flexibility to experiment with different automation frameworks, DevOps tools, and AI-based testing strategies rather than just following the client-imposed testing strategies, right? So since it's a product, you have that flexibility, so you can do a lot of R&D. You can pick and choose the frameworks that best suits for your development team, for your testing team. So there's a lot of things, lot of flexibility will be there, naturally in a product-based company. Now we are seeing a lot of good stuff about the product base. Now let's see the downsides as well, right? So there will be always two sides for the coin. So since you are testing the same product for the years, the work can become repetitive and sometimes it will be boring. Unlike the service-based roles, there are less exposure to multiple domains. This is one of the downside. You will spend a lot of time and effort in learning the product, but imagine if that product knowledge is not shareable or it's not transferable to your next future employment, then that could be a big waste of time. Learning the particular domain, learning the particular business knowledge, and you will not be dealing with multiple domains. So you'll be having only a specific domain knowledge. Like most of the SaaS products, they are very diversified. So each SaaS can be coming from a different industry, and if you are working for a particular SaaS product, then you might be mastering that specific domain, but you may not have an exposure to the other domains. So when you're trying to look for the new opportunities, the filtering will be there, right? So you cannot just go and apply for every job across every single domain, but you might need to filter down and sort down to a specific niche and a specific domain in that case. And then internal politics. So this is pretty common. It doesn't matter which company you go, so product or services, there will be always the politics and the bureaucracy will be there, which generally slows down the process and the motivation. It just kills the motivation sometimes, And then job security. So basically the product companies, they depend on their product success, right? So if the product is struggling and if they are not making money, if they are not if they're not growing their customer base, then obviously the company may cut the cost by reducing the roles. It can be a QA role, it can be a dev role, it doesn't matter. But with product companies, this is something which will be quite common. And I myself also experienced a couple of times laid off, especially when I'm working in the product companies. I never got laid off in a service company before. And then lower client interaction and the business exposure. Obviously, you don't have any client to report to, or you don't have any client to work for, because you are the client. So you have your own product and you are selling the product to your users. So the end consumers are technically your clients, but you don't really go and talk to them every single customer, because a SaaS can have hundreds and thousands of customers and you don't generally interact with them. Once in a while you might be on a customer call hearing about their issues, their concerns, about certain defect or certain bug. But generally speaking, there will be a customer success team, there will be a different team, a support team. So those that team will basically reaching out to the customers and helping them to fix their common issues. Now let's look into the services side. Services is very interesting because I spent a decent time in services, like almost 8 to 9 years I spent. I worked for Cognizant, and then I worked for Deloitte. So these are the different consulting and the services companies. It's very interesting. So the one of the key interesting stuff in services is you will be working on multiple projects, simultaneously. There are some times where you might be doing one POC for one client, and you will be actively working on a project where you will be charging the customer like active billing 8 hours. And there might be some instances where you might be joining some the other client project calls to solve some of the technical challenges. So you will be very busy. You will be working cross projects that are coming from different industries and different domains. So that level of exposure you will be getting when you start working with a services based company. And since each project may use different testing tools, there will be a rapid skill development is going to happen. So different testing tools and different methodologies, and then you will become a quick learner, and you will learn fast, and then you gain the exposure to multiple tech stacks and domains. In my experience, there is one project which was with Selenium, Java, which is a very traditional, Cucumber page object, and a traditional web interface kind of app. And there is one more project which is like a coded UI, which is basically a C# based tool, a different programming language, different tech stack. And of course, since you're working on multiple projects, there will be multiple clients and multiple level of the business domain exposure you will be having. And then the high job stability. This is something which I personally noticed, because in the services based company, it's not like only one single project or one single product. If one project doesn't work, there will be always there are ton of other projects within the company. So you can easily float around, you can easily do the project hopping. If the project is done, or if the SOW is done, then you can just move to other project. So that sort of flexibility will be there when it comes to job stability, which is good. And then the structured promotions and career path. So most of these consulting or the services based companies, they will be having a strict hierarchy, a strict ladder they follow when it comes to the reporting structure. So promotions follow a structured approach, while the promotion process might be a slow, but the services based companies, right, so they provide a clear career progression from the junior QA to all the way to the leadership roles like director, senior director, VPs and AVPs and so on. And then the high travel opportunities. So the reason why I'm mentioning this, because there are some people who are kind of crazy about on-site opportunities, right? Especially the services companies, they tend to support multiple clients across the geographical locations. So if you're working in a services based company, you will have a high chance of traveling to different geographical locations in order to serve different clients, part of the different projects. And of course, there are a lot of cons on the services side, like for example, the strict deadlines and high work pressure, because will try to reach that expectations, will try to be in the good terms. So then it has to go and pressurize the workforce to make sure the timelines and the deadlines are met. And then the limited product and the QA ownership again. So since you are not owning the product, like your company doesn't own the product, and you also don't know like how long this SOW will be executed. So you'll be always having the limited ownership from a QA standpoint. So generally speaking, you test what the client needs, but you don't have the deep ownership of any one product. Once a project ends, you move to another, losing the long-term testing continuity. And then tech stack is often dictated by the clients, because sometimes client might not let you choose your own tech stack, because they might have their own tech stack across their company and their product suite. So clients choose the tech stack, which means you might work on outdated testing tools and have less freedom to experiment with modern automation framework. And of course, the project hopping and the lack of internal growth. So generally speaking, the QA professionals, they frequently switch the projects, making it hard to specialize deeply in one area. And internal promotions can be slow compared to the product-based companies. So finally, in my opinion, based on my personal experience, again, each person has a different experience working in different companies. But in my opinion, working at product-based companies is a better choice or a better option, in comparison to the services-based. But if I am starting my career right now and if I am getting into the QA phase or the dev phase, I would like to start with a services based company, because that is where I would get exposed to the more tools, to the more technologies. Of course, I may not become master in one area or in one technology, but at least I will get to use to a lot of technologies, get introduced to the diversified set of skills. So at the end of the day, both services based and product based companies have their own pros and cons. So this is my advice. So if you're early in your career, services based companies can help you learn fast and explore different domains. But if you want a long term ownership, a long term growth in whatever QA you are doing, like automation, or if you want to expose more towards the AI, because most of the product based companies, they tend to integrate Gen AI kind of stuff into their products. So then the product based companies are the way to go. So what's your take? Like, I'm pretty sure you might be working in any of one of these companies. So how is your experience, and what is your take on this, and what do you think from your point of view, working it product based or services based? Alright, so please share your opinions in the comments. That's all for this video, and I will see you in the next.